Birthday cake. She sat alone in the bakery with only $3, not knowing the man at the door had already decided to change her life forever. Emma did not want anyone to see her counting. She kept her hands low, close to her lap, fingers moving carefully over the bills like she was handling something fragile. $1, $2, $3. She counted again. Still 3. She already knew it was 3. She had counted at home, sitting on the edge of her bed in the dark, before she even decided to come here. But she kept counting anyway, the way people do when they are desperately hoping the number will somehow change. It did not change. $3. That was everything Emma had in the world on the night of her 25th birthday. Outside, snow was falling, the thick, silent kind that swallows all the sound from the street and makes the whole city feel like it is holding its breath. Inside Sweet Moments Bakery, the air was warm and golden. It smelled like vanilla and sugar and butter, like every good memory Emma had ever had from childhood, all mixed together into one unbearable smell. She had told herself she would only stay for a few minutes, just to feel warm, just to look, just to pretend, for 5 small minutes, that she was a normal 25-year-old woman buying herself a birthday cake on a snowy evening, instead of what she actually was, a girl in a wheelchair, in a coat with a broken zipper, holding $3 and trying very hard not to cry in public. She wheeled herself slowly toward the glass display case. The cakes were beautiful, impossibly beautiful, tall chocolate layers with dark glossy frosting, white cakes with delicate sugar flowers, carrot cakes with thick cream cheese icing and little fondant decorations on top. Each one had a small card in front of it with a price, and every single price was far beyond what Emma had in her hand. She moved her eyes slowly across the shelf, and then she stopped. Top shelf, right in the center. A rich dark chocolate birthday cake, 3 perfect layers, deep brown frosting, decorated simply and elegantly, and written across the top in clean white icing, in careful cursive letters that someone had clearly taken time over, "Happy birthday, you deserve it." Emma read those words 3 times. You deserve it. She thought about the last 12 months. The accident, the hospital, the surgeries that didn't give her back what she had lost, the job that disappeared because she could no longer get there, the friends who drifted away because they didn't know what to say and eventually stopped trying, the apartment that got smaller and colder as the bills got bigger, the birthday that arrived today with no message, no call, no knock on the door. You deserve it. Did she? She genuinely did not know anymore. Her eyes began to sting. She pressed her lips together hard. She was not going to cry. She was absolutely not going to cry inside this bakery in front of strangers, over a cake she could not buy, on a birthday nobody remembered. She looked down at the $3 in her hand. She thought, maybe I can buy a small cookie, maybe just one small thing, something sweet, something to mark the day. She was still looking down when the door opened. The cold came first, a sharp rush of winter air that swept through the bakery and made the candles on the display cakes flicker all at once. Then came the sound of small boots on the tiled floor, running. "Papa! Papa, come look. There are so many cakes. Papa, they have flowers on them. Real flowers. Papa." Emma looked up. A little girl had exploded through the doorway like a small, joyful hurricane. She was maybe 6 years old, bright red jacket buttoned all the way to the top, a pink knitted hat pulled down over her ears, but sliding sideways because she had been running. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold. Her eyes were enormous and moving in every direction at once, trying to see everything in the bakery simultaneously. Her name was Lily, and right behind her, stepping through the doorway and pausing to stamp the snow off his shoes, was her father, Daniel. He was tall, 32 years old, gray wool coat, dark trousers, a watch on his left wrist that had belonged to his father. He had the kind of face that was handsome in a quiet way, strong jaw, dark eyes, the beginning of stubble across his chin. But what you noticed most, if you looked carefully, was something behind his eyes, a heaviness, a particular kind of tiredness that has nothing to do with sleep and everything to do with carrying something very heavy for a very long time. He stepped inside and immediately looked for Lily, found her already pressing both palms flat against the glass display case, nose almost touching it, breathing little fog clouds onto the surface. He almost smiled, almost. Then his eyes moved across the bakery, the careful automatic scan of a father always checking the room, and they landed on Emma. He saw her the way you sometimes see someone and understand their entire situation in a single second, without a single word being spoken. He saw the wheelchair. He saw the coat that had clearly been worn for many winters. He saw her hand still slightly closed, still holding something she did not want anyone to notice. and he saw her face, still turned toward that cake on the top shelf, with an expression that Daniel recognized immediately and completely. Because he had worn that exact expression himself, 2 years ago, outside a different building, in different weather, holding nothing. His wife Sarah had died 11 days earlier quietly, quickly, with very little warning, and no fair goodbye. And Daniel had been sitting on a bench outside the hospital with empty hands and an empty feeling that he was genuinely not sure he would ever recover from. A stranger had sat down next to him that night, an older man. He hadn't asked questions or offered advice or said any of the things people usually say. He had simply bought 2 coffees from the machine inside, handed one to Daniel without a word, and sat beside him in the cold until Daniel could breathe properly again. When he finally got up to leave, the man had put his hand briefly on Daniel's shoulder and said, "When you're standing again, do this for someone else." Daniel had thought about those words every single day since. He looked at Emma, he looked at the cake, he looked at Lily, who had now turned around and was beckoning him frantically to come see the flowers on the white cake in the corner. Something in his chest made a quiet decision. He walked toward Emma. "Excuse me," he said. His voice was gentle. Not the careful, slightly too soft voice people use when they feel sorry for someone. Just normal, warm, human. Emma turned fast, the sharp, startled turn of someone who has spent a long time feeling invisible and is surprised when they are not. In the same movement, almost without thinking, her hand closed tighter around the money in her lap. "Sorry," she said immediately. "I'm not in the way, am I?" "I was just leaving. You're not in the way at all," Daniel said. "I just wanted to ask, is today your birthday?" Emma blinked. She opened her mouth, closed it again. "Yes," she said finally, quietly. "But it's fine. I was just looking." Daniel nodded slowly. Then he turned his head. "Lily." The little girl appeared at his side so fast she must have been listening the whole time. She looked up at Emma with eyes that were completely open, no filter, no pretense, no social awkwardness. Just pure, direct, honest attention. "This lady's birthday is today," Daniel said simply. What happened to Lily's face in that moment was something Emma would remember for the rest of her life. It lit up, not like a polite smile, not like a practiced reaction. It lit up the way a child's face lights up at something genuinely wonderful, total, complete, uncontrollable joy at the existence of a birthday. "Your birthday," Lily said, her voice going up an entire octave. "Today, like right now today." "Right now today," Emma said, and felt to her complete surprise a laugh move through her. "A real one." Lily spun to face her father with the urgent seriousness of someone delivering critical information. "Papa?" she said. "We need to get her a cake." "Lily, Papa. No, listen to me." Lily held up one small finger. "It is her birthday. And she is here. And there are cakes right there, Papa. We need to get her one." Emma shook her head quickly. "That is so kind, truly, but please, you don't have to." "Can I tell you something?" Daniel said. Something in his voice made Emma stop talking. "My daughter's mother died 2 years ago. And since then, the most important thing I do every single day is try to show her what kind of person to be, how to notice people, how to actually do something when you notice them." He paused. "She noticed you. Will you let her do something about it? It would mean more to her than you know." The bakery was very quiet. Emma looked at Lily, this small, certain, completely fearless little girl who was looking back at her like Emma was someone worth seeing. She looked at Daniel, this tired, good man who had walked into a bakery to buy a cupcake and had instead chosen, without hesitation, without obligation, to stop. The $3 were still in Emma's hand. Slowly, she opened her fingers and looked at them one last time. Then she looked up. "Okay," she said softly. "Thank you." Lily did not waste a single second. She marched straight to the counter, pointed directly at the chocolate cake on the top shelf, the one Emma had been looking at, and announced with complete authority, "That one, please. The one that says she deserves it. For her birthday. Today." The shopkeeper looked at Daniel. Daniel nodded. The shopkeeper smiled, the quiet smile of someone who has just witnessed something that reminded them why they got into the business of making things that celebrate people. He lifted the cake carefully from the shelf. He placed the birthday candles in one by one. And then Lily, without being asked, without any prompting from anyone, reached up with both hands and pulled the ribbon from her own hair. It was pink, slightly crumpled from being worn all day. Her favorite one. Emma would later learn that Lily had 3 ribbons, and this was the one she saved for special occasions. She tied it carefully around the cake box, took her time making the bow even. There, she said, stepping back to look at it. Now it's a proper present. Emma's hand was over her mouth. She was not succeeding at not crying. The shopkeeper dimmed the overhead lights. Lily lit each candle herself slowly, carefully, tongue pressed between her teeth in concentration, the way children do when they understand that something matters and want to do it right. The bakery glowed. Outside, snow was still falling soft and silent and endless against the dark window. Inside, 3 people who had been strangers 11 minutes ago stood together around a small chocolate cake covered in candlelight, and they sang, all 3 of them. Daniel's voice low and slightly off-key, Lily's voice enormous for her size, completely confident, not remotely off-key. Emma barely singing at all, just breathing the words more than voicing them, eyes closed, hands folded in her lap. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. When it was time to make a wish, Emma sat very still for a moment. She did not wish for her legs back. She had stopped wishing for that a long time ago. She did not wish for money, or for the accident to have never happened, or for any of the 100 things she had lost. She wished for one thing only: let me find a way to be okay. Not perfect, not like before, just okay. She opened her eyes. She blew out every candle in one breath. Before they left, Daniel reached into his coat pocket and held out a small white business card. My company is hiring for a remote design position next month, he said. Fully remote. You can work from anywhere. No pressure, I mean that completely. But if you're interested, please call. Emma took the card with both hands. Looked at it. Looked at him. I don't understand, she said. You don't know me. Why are you doing all of this? Daniel was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful and honest. Because a stranger did it for me when I had nothing left. And he told me to pass it on. He paused. I've been waiting for the right moment for 2 years. I think this was it. Lily stepped forward one last time. She took Emma's hand in both of hers, small, warm, completely steady, and held it the way children hold things when they want you to know they are serious. You're going to be okay, she said. Certain, no doubt anywhere in her voice. My mommy watches everybody from up there. I think she told us to come here tonight. Emma looked at this little girl, this 6-year-old with a crooked pink hat and a ribbon she had given away, and a heart the size of the whole bakery, and she completely fell apart, not in a devastating way. In the way that something breaks open when something else finally gets through. Daniel got the job position filled. Emma got the call. 3 months later, she was working. 6 months later, she had moved apartments. A year later, she was okay, not fixed. Not the same as before, not without hard days, but okay. Genuinely okay, in a way that felt earned and real. Every year on her birthday, she goes back to the same bakery. She buys the chocolate cake, the one on the top shelf, the one that says you deserve it, and every year she gives it to someone standing at that counter who looks like they need it more than she does. Because Daniel was right about one thing. Kindness passed on is the only kindness that never runs out.